The movie begins with a man named Ted, a mountain climber, along with his daughter Nora. They are climbing the highest peak in Norway. Ted tells her, "I've spent half my life climbing mountains," she replies. "And the other half?" He smiles and says, "Climbing down from them. There's an old legend about a creature known as the mountain troll." Nora dismisses it, saying, "Will you ever stop with these fairy tales?" 20 years pass, and Nora grows up to become a renowned archaeologist. However, she has distanced herself from her father, blaming him for her mother's death. Despite their strained relationship, Nora and her team make a groundbreaking discovery: fossils dating back millions of years. Meanwhile, the government is working on a railway project through the mountains. However, the local villagers strongly oppose it, fearing the destruction of their sacred lands. Despite their protests, the construction workers proceed with their plans, planting explosives at the base of the mountain. When they detonate the charges, they are shocked to find that the mountain remains completely intact, as if untouched by the explosion. As the team sets the second round of dynamite, the ground suddenly collapses, burying them alive. The operations center immediately receives an alert, prompting the deployment of fighter jets to capture aerial footage. To their shock, the mountain is gone, replaced by a massive crater, as if a meteor had struck. The general orders an immediate report to the government. The Prime Minister receives the news while in her car. Noticing strange footprints near the crater, she instructs her aide, Isaacs, to bring in an expert to examine them. At that time, Nora, one of the most renowned archaeologists, is celebrating a major discovery when a helicopter unexpectedly arrives. Soldiers inform her of an urgent crisis. With her usual dark humor, she jokes, "What now? Did my mother die again?" Before they take her to the operations center, Isaacs greets her, and she asks why she was brought in so abruptly. He tells her everything will soon become clear. She quips that she won't start working on an empty stomach, and demands 2 falafel sandwiches before heading into the meeting. However, upon seeing the country's top officials gathered, she quickly changes her mind, murmuring, "Forget the falafel." The general briefs her on the situation and shows her the strange footprints they discovered. Shocked, she admits she has never seen anything like them before. At that moment, Sarah enters, announcing that she hacked into a protester's phone and retrieved a video. The team watches the footage, revealing a terrifying moment: a colossal creature emerging from the mountain during the explosion. Meanwhile, in a remote mountain village called Lasha, a humble family notices tremors and assumes it's an earthquake. But as the shaking intensifies, they take shelter in their basement. Moments later, they realize that something enormous must have passed directly over their home. When they emerge, they are horrified to find that their roof is gone. The authorities receive a report of this incident and rush to the location. Captain Holmes, leading the investigation, explains the situation. Nora insists they follow the footprints to track the creature's movement. Holmes tells her they already did, but the trail mysteriously disappears 20 kilometers away. Despite an extensive search, they find no trace of the entity. Determined to find answers, Nora decides to visit her estranged father, convinced that he might know the truth about this legendary beast. However, upon seeing her, he threatens her life, assuming she has come from an asylum to take him away. She tries to convince him, saying, "Dad, it's me, Nora." But he no longer even recognizes her. Nora's father had not seen her in years, and the distance had made him forget her completely. She tried to lighten the mood, asking, "Don't you feel like something's missing while you stand there?" He glanced down, horrified. "My watch, wait, where's my belt? My pants?" The moment of panic passed quickly, as they turned their attention back to the video, analyzing the enormous footprints left behind. Her father finally revealed what he knew. That creature is called the mountain ghoul. It's been around for 2,000 years. He warned them that they had to find it before it could harm anyone. The team resumed tracking its path, following the deep imprints in the ground. At one point, Nora's father asked to be dropped off, and once on the ground, he started performing strange movements. The captain, skeptical, muttered, "Are we here to hunt a monster or exterminate insects?" Nora ignored him, observing the area carefully. "There are no tracks here," she announced. "We need to check somewhere else." The captain, still confident, smirked. "If that thing isn't here, I'll shave my beard." She scoffed. "Your beard? It looks like a mountain goat's anyway." Then the unexpected happened. The scene was transmitted live to the authorities, who were left in shock at the creature's appearance. The government made a swift decision, Deploy the military to eliminate the threat. Armed with an arsenal of powerful weapons, the forces mobilized to the last known location of the creature, setting up an ambush. They waited, their weapons aimed, hoping the monster would return. Meanwhile, Nora's father turned to her with a guilty expression. "I'm sorry for everything I did in the past." She smiled. "The past is the past. Let's start fresh." He opened his arms. "Where's my hug, kid?" Just as she was about to respond, the creature appeared before them, towering over them. It let out a guttural growl. "No hugs for me." The captain didn't hesitate. "There are hugs, all right, but for who?" With that, the army launched an all-out assault, firing tanks and missiles in every direction, trying to bring the mountain ghoul down. The creature roared in pain, its agonized cries echoing through the battlefield. The prime minister, watching the carnage unfold, finally gave the order. "That's enough." Everyone assumed the monster was dead, but the mountain ghoul wasn't so easily defeated. It shook off the damage like dust from its shoulders and lunged back at them with terrifying strength. Soldiers were tossed aside like rag dolls. Amidst the chaos, Tiedemann was struck by the creature's massive foot and sent flying. Nora sprinted to his side, desperately trying to save him, but his injuries were too severe. Gasping for breath, he whispered his final words, "The royal palace." And then he was gone. Confused and devastated, Nora wept over his body. The monster, as if sensing her grief, hesitated. It let out a deep, sorrowful groan before turning and walking away. The next day, determined to find answers, Nora pored over her father's books. That's when she made a crucial discovery. The ghoul was highly sensitive to the sound of church bells. Even more importantly, ultraviolet rays from the sun could weaken or even kill it. She rushed to the officials with a plan. Attach massive bells to helicopters and circle the creature, using the noise to disorient it. Though skeptical, they had no better option, so they agreed. Meanwhile, in the peaceful family park of Lillehammer, children laughed, and parents enjoyed the sunny day. Then, without warning, the mountain ghoul appeared. Panic erupted. People trampled over one another in their frantic attempt to escape. One small child, oblivious to the danger, mistook the monster for a new amusement park ride and clapped excitedly. The ghoul tilted its head, seemingly amused. At that moment, the helicopters arrived, each carrying a giant bell. The deafening chimes filled the air, and the plan worked. The ghoul groaned in distress, visibly weakening. Tears welled up in its eyes, and it began to stumble. Believing they had finally won, the officials breathed a sigh of relief. But the creature had other plans. Instead of collapsing, it turned. Its next target was the capital city. This was a disaster. The prime minister met with Nora in private. "Your role in this is over," she said firmly. "I'll handle this from here." She then went on live television, delivering an urgent announcement. All citizens must evacuate the capital immediately. The public obeyed, and within hours the streets were empty. As the military deployed to defend the city, Isaacs made a bold decision. He resigned from his position to help Nora. "There's something I don't understand," she told him. "My father's last words were the royal palace, but I don't know why." Isaacs took her there, hoping they could uncover the truth. Upon arrival, the palace staff greeted them. One of the older attendants, a close friend of her father's, listened carefully as she repeated his final words. "The royal palace," she said, still unsure of its meaning. The man's eyes darkened. "Then there's something you need to know." Isaacs led Nora into a hidden chamber beneath the palace. There, an old attendant revealed a shocking truth. 1,500 years ago, this very place was the home of the Ghoul King. When Christianity spread through the land, the army wiped out the ghouls, sparing only the king's son, who was then imprisoned inside a mountain. Realizing the creature was heading to the capital to reclaim its home, Nora devised a plan. Lure it away using a royal ghoul skull. They strapped it to a car and waited. When the monster saw the skull, it flew into a rage. "That belonged to the late Shochi, you thieves!" it bellowed. Furious, it attacked, forcing Nora and Isaacs into a dangerous chase. But just as they tried to escape, the skull fell from the car, enraging the creature further. At the last moment, they led it straight into a military trap. Surrounding vehicles activated powerful ultraviolet lights, burning the beast's flesh. Nora, moved by its suffering, turned off the lights and pleaded, "Go back to the mountains, where no one can harm you." But fate had other plans. The rising sun struck the ghoul directly, its rays burning through its body until it turned to stone. In seconds, The mighty creature became nothing more than a mountain. With the city safe, officials arrived, thanking Nora for her bravery. The Prime Minister smiled. "I'm proud of you." Nora smirked. "That's nice, but where's my reward?" "I want my money, lady." But the story didn't end there. There were signs a sequel was coming.